So good morning and welcome to everyone. Good to see you again. And the two things. We were just talking about the this being the 21st anniversary of 9/11, and just the way it impacted so many of our lives. And so we just invite us to hold that this day in our hearts, and particularly those who lost loved ones, and all who've suffered, those coming back from the wars with PTSD, and those who've lost limbs, and those lost loved ones. Just seeing all the ways things play out, kind of history plays out, and causes and conditions play out. So just inviting us to hold all of that in our hearts today on the anniversary. Also, some of you may have heard, I don't know, I don't want to spoiler alert on this, but the Queen died the other day. So just there, but another person that's had a very significant impact on the world, even though the monarchy doesn't have the power it had 200 years ago or whatever. She still lived a very memorable life. And I'm a long way from being a monarchist. I think of myself as a Republican with a small r, but Democrat and Democratic and Republican. But I definitely admire her, her devotion, her dedication, and the integrity with which she lived her life. Even though I don't think the system of monarchy is the most helpful or most healthy one, it's nonetheless, I think she I think did live a very dedicated life. And there's a lot we can learn from somebody in a very different condition of life than ourselves. Probably none of us here will own tens of thousands of acres of prime real estate, and all of the accumulated wealth of centuries and where that's all come from. But anyway, just in whatever way is appropriate to you, remembering her and her life. And welcoming everyone. Welcome. Good to see everyone. I won't go through all the names, but just looking at the faces here, and happy that we're together again for our Sunday meditation class, organized and supported by the Insight Meditation Community of Washington, IMCW, which has been in existence for around 25 or so years, founded by Tara Brach back in the 90s, and also by our community, which is part of IMCW, the Center for Mindful Living, and very lovely kind of Sangha within a Sangha is how I think of it, and was formerly located physically in Tenleytown at the Space on Wisconsin Avenue. But then with the pandemic, and after paying thousands of dollars a month rent, as like many businesses and small businesses have to do, and organizations, we had to relinquish the physical space. But we've, through all of the organizing and the efforts of so many people, many who are here today, it's really actually strengthened as a community over the time of COVID. And so there's all these wonderful offerings which we'll share at the end, and the announcements of upcoming activities. So it's wonderful to be together in this way, and to have had the opportunity to do this for 2.5 years. We are still aspiring to come back together in person. We'll certainly begin, I think, by just doing like a monthly thing, but we'll wait till we're clearer about the pandemic and what's really safe and appropriate. And so obviously stay focused. We'll keep in touch on that. So a warm welcome to everyone. Welcome to Alden, who's been part of supporting IMCW for many years in the website, and been supporting us on transition. We'll be making in just the way we access these sessions each week, but we'll keep you fully informed on that. I won't take time today to do that, but changes will be happening soon, and we'll give you a very good heads up about that in the weeks ahead. So again, welcome to everybody. Good to be together. Just a little bit about the logistics and the organization of the class. We typically begin with a period of meditation, just helping us arrive and settle. Tends to be about 20 minutes or so, guided meditation. Then there'll be a talk. It's normally 25 or 30 minutes or so. And the theme today is cultivating attention. Attention very much at the heart of mindfulness and other parts of the Dharma practices. And I want to just kind of untangle and unfold some of the understandings about attention and the role it plays really on the path to freedom of the heart, freedom from suffering. So that'll be the theme today. Then after the talk, Emily leads us in a guided mindful movement. Grateful for that. Each week, ability to come into our bodies in movement, and then we'll do some sharing. I think probably we'll either in small groups or in the full group, and then we'll finish with a shorter meditation and some announcements at the end. So we normally finish around 12:15 or so. So yeah, thank you everyone for sharing in the chat. As Gabriella says, lots of controversy over colonization. Many people in the BIPOC, Black, Indigenous, people of color community are making comments around oppression. Yeah, I think it's like many things, having to hold more than one thing at once. And certainly, as somebody whose family is from Ireland, my parents and all my ancestors from Ireland, we have a rich history of connection with the British Empire and for 800 years. So to acknowledge that history, but and at the same time acknowledge, for me, one of the things I found very unhelpful about the system of monarchy and the aristocracy is that it just really locks in the class system where some people are born and with this sense of entitlement and privilege and the wealth that goes with it, and other people very easily kind of buy into the sense that these people are our superiors, and we tug a forelock to them, and I just felt like, even growing up there, I never felt comfortable with that, and felt much more comfortable here in the US with all its challenges. And we know a lot about the challenges, but there's something about everybody really, nobody being above the law and nobody being superior to anybody else, even though sometimes it's honored more in the breach. Anyway, I won't go too much into that, but just to be able to kind of acknowledge the many dimensions of things, and respect for the integrity with which Elizabeth lived her life. And I see in a lot of the impact of people, particularly in the UK, it's often more about them than about the Queen dying, because somebody reaches 96, as we say, they had a good old innings, they had a good stretch in this mortal life and human life, but it's often about people's own identity, and they associate it with with the person, and that can be helpful as well, be very healthy. So, putting all of that aside for now, we'll begin with a meditation. So, I'm gonna invite you to find a posture that's comfortable and relaxed. So, for most of us, it'll be sitting down. So, if you'd like to, you can let your eyes close, let your attention come inward. Kind of choose to put aside the thoughts, plans, memories, daydreams, all of the things we can put our attention to, and just let yourself be here. Let yourself settle and arrive. So sitting in a way that's comfortable, relaxed. Be inviting the shoulders to relax. Feeling the weight of gravity pulling your body down towards the earth. Feeling the contact with your buttocks, your thighs, with the surface beneath you. Your feet touching the floor. Your hands in contact with your lap or your knees or with each other. And just letting yourself settle and arrive. Choosing to be here, to use this time to be present with our experience, whatever's here. Thinking of the lines of Martha Postlethwaite, a poem Clearing. She says, "Do not try to save the whole world or do anything grandiose. Instead, create a clearing in the dense forest of your life and wait there patiently until the song that is yours alone to sing falls into your open, cupped hands and you recognize and greet it. Only then will you be able to give yourself to this world so worthy of rescue." So, if it's helpful, this image of creating a space in the dense forest of our lives and opening to what's here, moment to moment. Letting it come and go. And in the stillness, in the silence, out of the mystery may come maybe some insight, some understanding that we can take back into our lives, some kindness into this world so worthy of rescue. So if it's helpful, taking a few deeper breaths, breathing in, calming the body, breathing out, calming the mind. Imagine on the out breath that you're releasing any tension, any tightness, any worries or fears, just letting them go. And whenever you're ready, just letting the breath settle into its natural rhythm, breathing in, breathing out. It can be helpful at the beginning of a meditation to reflect, like reflect on gratitude. There are just some things in your life that you feel grateful for. Be people, loved ones, dear friends, maybe conditions, health, security, nature. Your religious or your spiritual practice, the gift of community, so many things that we have to be grateful for, but it's so easy to be caught up in fear and worry and painful mind states. So just coming back to gratitude can be a way of really gladdening the heart. It's kind of bringing some joy into the heart. And this can be a very powerful resource for us when difficulties and challenges arise. And inviting a kind and non-judging awareness to whatever is arising for you right now. Is to make space for what's here, letting it come, letting it be, letting it go. As the theme for the talk today will be attention, I'd invite you to perhaps explore, open to two different forms of attention. The first is kind of a focused attention, and the second is a more open, spacious attention, awareness. So the first we're familiar with when we pay attention to our breathing, maybe use the breath as our focus or our anchor in meditation. So you might just bring awareness to your breathing and let the breath be kind of home base for you. Just aware of the sensations of breathing in and breathing out. Breathing in and breathing out. And that awareness can be the ground for our attention. Just letting that be our basic place where we pay attention, the sensations of breathing in and breathing out. And when the mind goes off, maybe into the future or the past, plans, memories, daydreams, you just gently and kindly bring the attention back. Just having this awareness of the breath as one kind of mode of attention. You might, if you're ready, just move your attention to let your awareness not focus on any object, but just be open so that whatever comes up can be seen as it comes and goes. Bodily feelings come, they stay for a while, tightness or tingling, warmth, just come and known, and then maybe they lessen or pass. Something else comes up that calls for attention. The mind goes to these words, ideas. They come and go. Maybe a memory is triggered and an emotion gets brought up. Maybe there's some sadness. Can open to that. The feelings, letting them come and go with kindness and care. You could think of this awareness as being like a wide open sky, where all sorts of things pass through the sky, the aeroplanes and birds and smoke, wind and sunshine, everything passing through, and yet the sky remains open. In the same way, our awareness can be open, is fundamentally open and spacious, but we get hooked in, we get caught up, get pulled into experiences, but we can come back to that open, spacious awareness. Just notice how it is to just rest in that awareness. You might notice ways it feels different from the more focused awareness. And neither is better or more or superior. They're just different modes, different ways of paying attention, that at times maybe one is more helpful. Maybe when we're more calm and settled, that open awareness can be very supportive for us to be here to calm the mind. Maybe if the mind is more active, the more focused attention can help stabilize awareness. So, like so many things in our practice, much hangs on the question of what's most helpful. What's most helpful? So you might, have some quiet. You might just kind of explore these different modes, and maybe one you find more helpful, and you stay with that. It's very helpful to know that there are different ways that we can pay attention and cultivate attention. Drop in these words from John O'Donoghue. I would love to live like a river flows, carried by the surprise of its own unfolding. I would love to live like a river flows, carried by the surprise of its own unfolding. A kind attention to what's arising moment to moment. And when we find ourselves pulled into thinking, just kindly, without judgment, just with acceptance, inclining the mind back to the breath, or back to this open awareness, whatever's most helpful, whatever most helps you to be here now. Finish with this poem by Gregory Orr called Untitled. This is what was bequeathed us, this earth the beloved left and leaving, left to us. No other world but this one, willows and the river and the factory with its black smokestacks. No other shore, only this bank on which the living gather. No meaning but what we find here, no purpose but what we make. That and the beloved's clear instructions turn me into song, sing me awake. No meaning but what we find here, no purpose but what we make. That and the beloved's clear instructions turn me into song, sing me awake. So again, welcome everyone. Maybe some joined us during the meditation. Good to be together again. What I'd like to do is continue with the talk, and the theme today being attention. And so I want to talk about attention and how it can help us on the path to freeing ourselves from suffering. I think attention is something we easily take for granted. It's at a kind of basic level, it's a skill or a ability that humans, as well, and also other animals, of course, have developed and harnessed over millions of years of evolution. That ability to kind of focus in on what we want, or what's important to us, or what matters, or what's really calling for our attention. And one thing to say about attention is that it's a neutral quality. It's a neutral quality. That is, it's not, doesn't inherently lead us to good or to evil or to harm. It depends on how it's harnessed, how it's used. So I think about, the attention that a surgeon might bring who's carrying out, an operation, a heart transplant or something requiring great skill and dexterity and attention, and how much attention goes into that, and how helpful, how beneficial that is. Or even in our own lives, if we're really taking care of somebody who's sick, and we're really watching them closely, and really that sense of the attention we're bringing, the care we're bringing there, versus the attention that a pickpocket or a burglar would have. They've got to be very attentive. They've got to be, is somebody coming? Might I be caught? That's also attention. But one is leading, the first is leading towards well-being, to happiness, to good outcomes, hopefully, and the other is leading to harm to the person who's carrying out those harmful activities, and also harm to others who are being damaged by those actions. So so it's a neutral quality in itself, and it's one that so it depends on how we use it, and we use our attention all the time. When the phone rings, whether we like it or not, there's something like, oh, what's going on there? Or if there's a loud noise, we kind of orient ourselves, from a very evolutionary early stage. We have to be on the lookout have to be vigilant about things that will threaten us, or might threaten us. We can, so the attention in that way is really, really important. But even, when we have a certain bodily feeling, our attention, an itch or some discomfort, our attention kind of moves there. What do I need to do here? What do I need to take care of here? But a lot of the time, we're in fact using our attention in a habitual and unconscious way. So, for example, if you're feeling anxious or bored, during the day, easily the attention can go to, oh, what do I need now? Oh, yeah, let me have a cookie, or let me have a bowl of ice cream, or let me have something that will kind of take me away from this unpleasant feeling. So rather than pay attention to what's here, our attention kind of drifts off, and typically it'll go where it's gone before, so where it's habitually gone. And in the same way we might check our phone, of like, if we're feeling some discomfort, some anxiety, some confusion, some worry, we might, let me check my email, let me check if anyone sent me a message, let me check if somebody's liked my post on Facebook or Instagram or whatever, or retweeted my tweet, not being a tweeter myself, but or not a regular tweeter. All these ways that we can get kind of pulled away from our actual experience. So I want to say some things generally about attention. The first, attention helps us move towards what's important to us. And attention is a key to our well-being, to our happiness, and to our freedom. And attention is a skill that we can cultivate by putting our attention where it's most helpful and where it kind of carries out or helps fulfill or move us towards our deeper intentions. This can be a great contribution to our happiness and freedom. That by just kind of consciously using our attention to say, okay, this is what I'm going to focus on now, because it leads to, I sense, I know, or from experience, this leads to greater well-being, this leads to greater happiness. It's a very famous statement from the psychologist William James, writing 130 or so years ago. He said, the faculty of bringing back a wandering attention over and over again is the very root of judgment, character, and will. An education which should improve this faculty would be the education par excellence. So that this quality of being able to keep coming back, bringing back that wandering attention. He said back then, back in the late 1800s, around 1890, he said, this would be a great great education for people to be able to do this. And it's still a big issue for us today. I mean, it's a huge issue for us today. Think about kids, think about ADHD, how much, the attention, easily goes off into, away from our, paying attention to what we feel we should be paying attention to, or what it's helpful to pay attention to somewhere else. And then typically what happens is we go all over the place, and we feel crappy. It doesn't feel good to be, I know it well, the difference between, I've actually shared, some talks I know about how much joy there can be in really paying attention, in really focusing. We're going towards, we're paying attention to what matters to us, and there's something that happens in our body and mind that feels, oh, this feels good. Now, sometimes that can be affected by, oh, I wish I didn't have to do this, and then it becomes a more afflictive thing. But if we're really engaged, it kind of moves us towards great, more happiness, more joy. And there's a lot of dukkha, a lot of suffering in that not being able, being all over the place. And then, of course, there's so much in our culture that's competing for our attention, of kind of like monetizing our attention. If I can grab people's eyeballs, I can get them to buy my product or stay engaged for long enough that I'll get money for, in one way or another, from that attention. So there's a lot, and there's bells and whistles and lights that can, come bring attention here. So there's a lot that we're working with that people in the Buddha's time weren't working with, different, stimuli from our society. I remember I went a number of times to Bodh Gaya in India, where the Buddha was awakened and a tree is there and stuff. I went there first in the 90s, and then later, some years later. And even in the years from when I first went there to the last time I was there, it was still a kind of a little bit of a sleepy, Indian village. But then, because there was so much attention given, I think, by the government and, people around the world, it became, more celebrated. It had been celebrated, but kind of within the ballpark of in a more inside Buddhism kind of way, but it get more known. And then last time I was there was like all of these circuses kind of things and bright lights and all of this, and it was very, very different, and just and a lot more noise and things there, and so those things not so easy to be on retreat there. Obviously, with practice, we can do that, but there's a lot that's kind of pulling on us, of like calling us, oh, pay attention over here, pay attention over here. A really nice expression I've shared before, but one I really like is this quality of attention has been called psychic energy. I like this. I think the person who coined that term was Mihai Csikszentmihalyi, the Hungarian-American researcher and writer who wrote about flow states. And so he was paying a lot of attention to attention and to intention, which he called kind of magnetic field, pulling us towards what's important to us, and attention as this psychic energy. And he said, so it's a psychic energy used by us, by our consciousness, to move us towards what we want and what benefits us. And he has some interesting other things to say. He said, we create ourselves by how we use this energy. We create ourselves by how we use this energy. Where we pay attention, in a way, it becomes who we are, you know. So the more we pay attention to, you know, the more we give attention to, you know, our thoughts about anger, being angry with politicians. You know, if we keep going down that path, that's what we become. We become somebody who's very angry about the political situation. Or maybe we judge ourselves and we, you know, that becomes our mode. That's where we put this psychic energy. And we have a choice, you know, where are we going to put this psychic energy? He says, Csikszentmihalyi says, attention is the most important tool in the task of improving the quality of our experience. Attention is the most important tool in the task of improving the quality of our experience. So he's basically saying, you know, the more we put our attention towards things, ways of being present that actually enhance our well-being and our happiness, the more that will color our life in a positive way. And it's not that different from what the Buddha was teaching 2,500 years ago, basically saying mindfulness, which is a specific application of attention that's supported by other wholesome qualities, you know, of the Eightfold Path, wise understanding, wise intention, wise effort, supported by this, not just attention, but attention directed towards wholesome ends, towards freeing ourselves from suffering. That this, you know, this is the path, the Buddha said, to freedom from suffering, to freedom of the heart. So I think it's a really, really valuable question to ask ourselves. How am I using my psychic energy? How am I using my attention? Where am I putting my attention? You know, in any moment we can ask ourselves that. But even taking kind of our life in a broader sense, you know, day to day or over a period of time, where am I putting my attention? Is it in a direction, you know, that leads to greater happiness, or in placing my attention, you know, in you know, afflictive states, anger, judgment, hatred, etc. Am I using my energy in those ways that won't lead to happiness, but will lead to suffering? So it's a very simple question, but I think a really important one. How am I using this faculty of attention, this psychic energy? And making the choice, you know, as the Buddha always pointed out, there's a choice, you know, there's a choice. One kind of path leads to suffering and the other path leads to greater happiness and well-being. And it's really a moment-to-moment choice of like, how am I using this moment? What am I paying attention to now? And obviously not doing that on the basis of having an excuse to beat ourselves up. Oh, I'm not paying attention. I'm going down the wrong path. Well, if we're going down a path that isn't fruitful, not to beat ourselves up, because that's only going to lead to more suffering, but rather just to notice and come back, or choose to redirect our attention. You know, I think of judgment, self-judgment and self-criticism, the inner critic, that can be so painful to so many in our time, and how debilitating that can be once we get locked into that pattern. You know, something doesn't go right and we kind of get the whip out. Oh, I screwed up. I'm so useless. Oh, I never get things right. My life is blah, blah, blah. You know, all the ways we can do that. And how much that is actually just strengthening those tendencies, you know, to keep going down those pathways, keep becoming more judgmental, because that's what we're doing, all on the fire, rather than trying to extinguish it when it's not helpful, you know, just kind of, okay, let that go. We're actually throwing fuel on the fire. So in those situations, to rather than fuel the judgment, we could make a choice. We say, okay, I'm going to actually bring compassion to myself. I'm going to cultivate compassion rather than self-judgment, and replace the judgment with self-compassion. May I be happy, may I be safe. The hand on the heart, just caring about, having that intention of caring for oneself rather than beating oneself up. The Spanish philosopher and writer said, Jose Ortega y Gasset said, tell me what you pay attention to, and I will tell you who you are. Tell me what you pay attention to, and I will tell you who you are. Because what we do, we become. What we pay attention to, essentially, that's what we're creating. We're creating that version of ourselves by choosing where we want to put our attention. So just some ways in which attention can help us rather than, taking us down the wrong path. One of the main things attention can do is it can help us make what is unconscious conscious. Because a lot of our suffering is actually happening, unconsciously. It's things we've set in motion and we keep doing. Whether it's around food or around drink or smoking or getting angry with people or judging ourselves or being spaced out a lot of the time. These are the patterns that when we repeat them often enough, they become habitual. They're then controlled by different brain processes than intentional actions. Intentional actions is really the prefrontal cortex. We'd say, oh yeah, I want to do this. I want to head in this direction. Once things have been repeated enough, even though they begin with intentions, they then get kind of pushed below the line of consciousness. And then we act them out, largely unaware of that we're really doing them. I mean, often we may be aware that we're doing them, but not really in that with that sense of, oh, I'm really intending to do this. I'm having this cigarette now because I really like cigarettes and I really want to, whatever, I mean, we don't tend to do this. It's like it's become habitual, and in that case become addictive, which makes it even more sticky. So the way, the kind of image I think is helpful in this area is to think of a circle with a line down the middle. It's a simple and maybe a little simplistic image, but a helpful one, I think. Circle with a line down the middle. And below the line is our unconscious, what we're not typically aware of. And then above the line is what we're conscious of, what we're, more consciously aware of. And insofar as we are ruled by our unconscious behaviors and our unconscious patterns of thought, that will tend to lead us towards not very good outcomes, because we'll have taken on habits that are not helpful, or may have been necessary at one time but are not helpful to us now, but we're not really fully aware of them. So a lot of our practice is kind of bringing into awareness things that are that are unconscious, bringing them above the line. And once we bring them above the line, then we can say, oh, I see this now. I see the way this is not helping me, this is harming me. And I can choose to go in another direction. I can incline the mind in a more helpful direction. Viktor Frankl had this famous quote. He said, between stimulus and response is a space. In that space lies our ability to choose. And in our ability to choose lies our growth and our freedom. So finding that space is really bringing the unconscious into consciousness, bringing what is below the line, above the line. And then we can choose, as he says. And when we can choose, we can always choose more helpful versus less helpful. And this is really the path that the Buddha's pointing to, very similar to what great psychologist Carl Jung said. He said, what is not brought to consciousness comes to us as fate. I love that saying. What is not brought to consciousness comes to us as fate. So insofar as we're not aware of the choices that we're making, or we're no longer really paying attention to them, then we're being driven by them in an unconscious way. And often, and that really becomes our fate, becomes kind of who we are, who we become. So our practice is, so much of our practice, I think, is about bringing what we're not aware of into awareness, so that we can say, oh no, this leads to greater happiness. This is the path I want to go down. And the more we can do that, the more we incline the mind towards well-being, towards happiness, and towards freedom. A very famous statement of the Buddha. He says, what you think about and frequently ponder on, this becomes the inclination of your mind. So 2,500 years ago, the Buddha was really talking about our habits of mind. When we go down, when we think about anger a lot, and we think about somebody in an angry way, or a resentful way, or a complaining way, that's what we're fueling, that's what we're cultivating. And that will lead us to, ultimately, to unhappiness, to suffering, to dukkha. If we incline the mind towards kindness, generosity, gratitude, all of these qualities, equanimity, then that's what will be the quality of the mind that we develop, that we nurture, and that will move us towards what, hopefully our deepest intentions are. So conscious attention operates like a spotlight. It helps us to see where we're caught up, where we're clinging, where we're caught up in unwholesome states, so we can choose a more skillful alternative. We can choose to abandon what's unskillful, is the way the Buddha put it, and cultivate the good. We can go down this path rather than down this path. So attention, I'm just going to finish up in the next couple of minutes, but attention really is at the heart of our practice. I started off by saying it's a neutral quality, and it can move us, towards good outcomes and harmful, or alternatively harmful outcomes. It depends on what it's supported by and accompanied by. So, for example, when attention is accompanied by compassion and care, it helps us, it can lead towards love. It can lead towards friendliness, kindness towards ourselves, to others, towards the world. This French writer, philosopher, Simone Weil, lived in the first half of the 20th century. I think she died in the 1940s. She said, she called attention the rarest and purest form of generosity. The rarest and purest form of generosity. She said, attention taken to its highest degree is the same thing as prayer. It presupposes faith and love. So this is attention accompanied by kindness, compassion, caring. She says it's like a prayer. Absolute unmixed attention, she says, is prayer. And Mary Oliver, some of you may have heard of Mary Oliver, the beloved poet, who I think of it as really really a poet of attention. You see her poem, so much of it is about really paying very, very close attention to the grasshopper who's on her hand, looking closely at the jaws moving sideways rather than up and down, really paying attention. She said, attention without feeling is only report. Attention without feeling is only report. It's just like a news flash or something, it doesn't have more to it than that. So it depends on what are we, somebody heavily says, attention taken to its highest degree is the same thing as prayer, she said, Simone Weil, Wail. EIL, sorry. It presupposes faith and love. Absolute unmixed attention is prayer. And again, when attention is accompanied by the other Dharma qualities of wise understanding, we know why we're paying attention and where we're wanting to go with our attention to move towards greater happiness and freedom. We move intentionally in that direction, wise intention. We use our effort in that direction. When we use our attention in that way, that becomes wise mindfulness, the element of the Buddha's Eightfold Path. Without these other qualities, it's just attention. But with these other qualities, it's wise attention leading towards freedom. Attention is also very much at the heart of concentration practice. When it's accompanied by a sensitivity, a kind of attunement to our experience, it can become what is in Pali is called samadhi, S-A-M-A-D-H-I, samadhi, often translated as concentration, but concentration can have a kind of a tightness to it, like really focusing. And what samadhi is a much softer, much more about attuning, about the gathering of attention, the unification, rather than a kind of tight focus. Then it becomes samadhi, wise concentration that can lead to incredibly deep states of well-being, of happiness, of meditation, of peace, of joy, of well-being, even to states of absorption, where the attention is really completely engaged with the object of attention, so that even the object of attention is there's no longer a real separation between the attention and the object of the attention, but there's an absorption in the attention, in the quality ultimately that arises out of the attention, the joy, the peace, etc. So all of this is just an invitation to really pay attention to attention, to really look at attention in our own lives and how are we using this faculty, because we're all using it every day of the week. And are we using it to direct ourselves, to kind of incline the mind towards happiness, well-being, freedom, or in a direction that keeps us kind of locked into suffering? And invite a kind, non-judging attention to that question of how we're using this psychic energy in our lives. So I'll pause here. Maybe just have a minute before we hand it over to Emily for the mindful movement. Just take a minute to sit with whatever's arising for you, whatever's present right now. Just making space for whatever is here with kindness, with acceptance, without judgment. So thank you for your kind attention today, and I hope that there's something there that's helpful. As I say often, if anything that's unhelpful, just leave on the chair, and we'll sweep it up afterwards. So Emily, over to you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Hugh. Let me ask you to bring attention to your body by standing up and opening up your arms, extending, reaching, just feeling the air against your skin and swaying. from foot to foot. And then open up wide, extending your arms up, reaching. And exhale, lower your shoulders away from your arms. And then grasp your left wrist in your right hand and extend out, reaching in that direction, right. Breathing into that left rib cage. Exhale, softening, lowering. And then inhale up, switch hands, extending out to the left, reaching, opening up the right rib cage with your inhale, exhale, softening, seeing what less effort becomes. Inhale up, float your arms down, roll your shoulders together. Might even bounce with your softening your knees, and then roll them the other way. And then bring your arms up into cactus arms, keeping the elbows up. Exhale your arms down. Inhale, rise. Exhale, lower. Inhale, rise up. Extend your arms out. Take a look at your left palm, turning that up. Right palm stays down. On the inhale, switch to the right and left and right. Last time to the left, to the right. Float your arms down. Roll your shoulders independently. Roll them the other way. And come to center, place your hands behind your back. And when you're ready, notice the energy in your feet. And then inhale, lifting your head, your chest. Exhale, draw your hands down below your waist, engaging the shoulder blades. Exhale, back to your waist. Inhale, lifting your head and chest. Exhale, draw your hands down. Exhale, release. Float your arms up. Bring your hands together, palms together, your left wrist on top of your right, and just swing your arms in a figure eight, sideways, figure eight. Really. And then swing them the other way. Bring your hands back to center, switch. So your right hand is over your left, your palms meet, and draw that figure eight again. Feeling the difference here. And then swing them the other way. And then open up wide again. Shake it out. Just do your own private dance, shaking your body, shaking your hands. Bringing just energy into everything. All right. And then come to center, place your raise your arms up. Coming into prayer position above your head. And exhale, draw them to your heart. Out to the group, sending kindness, gratitude, down to the earth, sending gratitude there. And on an exhale, draw your arms up. So whoosh. Once again, above your head, down to the heart, out to the group, down to the earth, and whoosh. And to your heart, and take a bow. Thank you so much for your practice.
Thank you, Emily. Thank you. Lovely, as always. Thank you. I do want to share that somebody sent me a note saying she'd left and went to another group, I think she felt my remarks were a bit light-hearted about the Queen, so I hope I didn't. I hope I didn't intend any disrespect, and I definitely wanted to kind of bring a balanced view and respect the integrity in which she lived her life. But I know it's a sensitive time for people, so if that landed wrong on anybody else, please accept my apologies. It wasn't intended in that way. So welcome back, everyone, and please feel free to share anything. Not obviously not content-wise, but just in terms of coming out of the small groups and appreciation for others if you'd like to in the chat. And I think what we'll do, just given time, is we'll have a meditation. If anyone has anything you'd like to share or any questions, maybe put them in the chat, and we'll have a meditation to finish, and then announcements. So just a short, maybe 5-minute meditation to finish our time together today. Just inviting us to, if we like to close our eyes, let the attention come inward. And just opening with kindness to what's here right now. You might appreciate your own efforts in coming here today and practicing together. Appreciate too everyone else who's here or has been here, how we support each other in our practice through community. You might move towards finishing this time together today with, by intentionally breathing in and wishing yourself well. Whatever words or phrases or just feelings for yourself. May I be happy, may I be safe. Whatever words or no words, just express that wish for yourself and your own happiness, well-being. And breathing out, just wishing well to everyone else who's here. May you be happy. May you be safe. May you be free from suffering. May you live with ease and with kindness. Wishing yourself well as you breathe in, and letting your wishes go outward to everyone here and out into the world. To all who are suffering right now, all who are in pain. May you be happy. May you be free from harm, free from suffering. May you be held in loving kindness, filled with loving kindness. May all beings everywhere be held in loving kindness, filled with loving kindness. May all beings everywhere awaken to their true nature. And may our practice be of benefit to all. I share this poem from Thich Nhat Hanh called The Good News. The good news they do not print. The good news we do not print. We do print. We have a special edition every moment, and we need you to read it. The good news is that you're alive, that the linden tree is still there, standing firm in the harsh winter. The good news is that you have wonderful eyes to touch the blue sky. The good news is that your child is there before you and your arms are available. Hugging is possible. They only print what's wrong. Look at each of our special editions. We always offer the things that are not wrong. We want you to benefit from them and help protect them. The dandelion is there by the sidewalk, smiling its wondrous smile, singing the song of eternity. Listen, you have ears that can hear it. Bow your head, listen to it. Leave behind the world of sorrow, of preoccupation, and get free. The latest good news is that you can do it. Thank you all. And I'm just going to share a couple of things and then I'll pass it over to Emily for announcements. I just want to mention I have a 6-week course on the 4 foundations of mindfulness beginning on October 18th and going to November 22nd. It's on Tuesday evenings from 7:15 to 9, and it's really a exploration of this, the deepest and this most central teaching of the Buddha on mindfulness as a path to freedom from suffering, a path to liberation. Also, I want to mention that in just over a week, we're going to start having some monthly sessions on bringing our practice into the world. These will be on Monday evenings. I think the first one is on the, today is the 11th, so it'll be the Monday the 19th, a week from a day after next Sunday, 8 days from today. So exploring how we can use these practices that we cultivate, on the cushion and in our own practice and together in these sessions, how we can bring them into our daily life, particularly the times we're living in right now with all of the challenges. So hope you can join us for that. We'll share the link in the coming days. And then a number of other things. I've got a weekend retreat with my partner Rebecca on October 14th to 16th, that's in person in Pennsylvania, just over the Maryland border with Pennsylvania. So I'll just leave that mind there and just mention, as we do each week, that this class is offered freely. There's no charge, no set cost. You're invited, if you're able and inclined, to make a donation that it helps support, in this case, helps support the teacher, me, and helps support us in being able to continue sharing these teachings and practices. And as we often share, this is how the teachings have come down through 2,500 years, through this practice of generosity or dana in the Pali language. So thank you.